Hi guys, Talia here, and just a reminder, I leave Australia in 6 weeks to go and start my whole new life in Japan. And today I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the checklist that I need to do for myself to figure out what am I actually doing in the next 6 weeks for my little countdown, as well as what do I need to get done and where I'm at with a lot of the different processes, which is how I've been getting to where I am now, which is almost moving to Japan. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is my departure. Depending on where you're from, you obviously need to get different kinds of visas and things like that. In Australia, we're really lucky where you can go to Japan, I think it's for 3 months possibly, without having to have a visa, which is really cool. But I obviously need a special visa for my work, which will be a instructor visa or a teaching visa. I spent a lot of time doing all the paperwork for that, and my visa has been approved. And before you even get the visa, you have to get something called a certificate of eligibility. So this was done through the school that I'm going to work at, and they're basically like my guarantors of telling them that I'm going to work there, they have hired me, all of that stuff. So that was one of the longest waiting periods, was waiting for that to come in. And with all the current changes going on with the visa systems in Japan, it was actually taking a lot longer than they thought it would. So I ended up getting my certificate of eligibility, and then I had to go to Sydney to go to the embassy or the consulate in Sydney to then get my visa. And then I have the paperwork done. It has been approved, but I can't pick up my visa for another week, and they actually have my passport, and inside my passport is where my visa gets put in. It is a whole system, and if anyone wants to know more about that, let me know, because it was a lot. There's a lot of detail you have to put into it, but mine is done, and so I'm very excited about that. So I have officially been accepted for a 3-year teaching visa, which is really, really exciting. So that means that I can teach in Japan for upwards of 3 years and then reapply and get an extension to the visa if I would like. Currently where we're at, we are hoping to stay in Japan for a lot longer than 3 years. So we will kind of see what happens from there. So I depart in roughly 6 weeks, right at the start of August. I'll be leaving from Sydney, where I fly all the way to Brisbane, and then I will fly to Tokyo from Brisbane. It's going to be a bit of chaos, and I think I'm going to be really sad to be leaving my husband and my cats and all my memories behind, but it's also super exciting. So I'm trying to look at it on a positive light. And then pretty much as soon as I touch down, I'm going to be taking a train into the new city where I'm going to be living. And the next day I have my first school tour, which is very exciting. So I get to see my space, I get to see my classroom, I get to meet a lot of my new colleagues. And then following on this, I have to go and do some pretty important stuff that they do in the Japanese system. So one of them is a full health check. So I think that this is really cool that they do this. So I will go get my full health check done, and then the next day I go and do a lot more official things like setting up a bank account, getting a phone number, doing all of the going to town hall and doing all of the really official stuff to say that I have my residence card. If you've ever had to move overseas, you probably know that there's so much paperwork involved and so much ticking boxes and making sure everything's good. So we can hope it's all done. Everything was booked through myself, so I booked my own flights and then I sent them off to the school for them to check that they were happy with the flights, and then basically they've approved it, I book the flights, paid for them, and then I get reimbursed on arrival in Japan, which is going to help so much because that reimbursement will actually go towards kind of buying some furniture and setting myself up, which will be really good. The next thing that's on kind of my checklist is finishing teaching up here in Australia. So we are currently in week 10, which is one of the final weeks of school for this term. And then next week is our lucky last week. So I have had a lot of kids telling me they are really sad I'm leaving, but they're excited for me. So it's a lot of mixed emotions for me and them. I'm definitely going to miss them. I love the kids that I teach so much. But I've gotten a lot of little letters and things that are extremely sentimental to me, and I'm going to be taking them with me to Japan. I don't think I could ever get rid of that stuff. It's something that, you know, it's a journey that I've taken to be a teacher, and now I'm here and I have these words from these kids that mean so much, and that's kind of one of those things that keeps you going as a teacher. So they are staying with me. They've brought too many tears to my eyes already. So yeah, 1 more week left. In that week, we've got a couple of plans to do some fun things. So we're going to be doing some like pizza parties, some movies, and just kind of chilling out before it's all over. One of the really fun things I do is I have a photography class, and we have been playing Clue. So if you know, like Clue or Cluedo, so they've been trying to solve a murder mystery while creating their own little short film from it. So I'm really excited to finish that up with them and see how they go. The third thing on my list, which is one of those things that is just too much right now, is packing. Now, I'm only taking 2 suitcases and a carry-on with me initially to get to Japan, and I've talked about it a little bit in my last video, but I recently had bariatric surgery, which means I've lost a lot of weight. I've currently lost 30 kilos, which is quite a few different sizes, and my clothes are now still feeling quite loose because I'm only couple months out from surgery, so I'm still going to be losing hopefully a fair bit of weight from where I'm at. So I'm not planning on taking a whole bunch of clothes, but I need to take some that are going to be appropriate for work, because I jump straight into work once I get there, and then I have 2 weeks holiday after that 1 week. So I do want to be able to set myself up with a few different outfits, a bit of a capsule wardrobe, but then things that I need to take with me. So things that are sentimental, so I've got like certain cups that I'll be taking to my new house in Japan, accessories like earrings and rings and things, bags, stuff that's important to me in my everyday life, but also important because it holds a memory. I've also got some books I'm going to be taking with me, not that many. I culled so many books. I love reading, but I also have to let go of traditional books for now. So I've got like a little e-reader that I've had for the last couple of years. I got that when I went to Italy, and that was really helpful. So I'm kind of buying books on that instead, so that I can condense the amount of physical books I have and still enjoy reading. It's not the same. Like if you're a reader, you understand like a book is really sensory, and the smell and the idea of pulling a book out and folding the cover over. If you do that, I'm a cover folder. I know that's going to be controversial, but I think it's really important to have them on my e-reader so that I'm not taking up so much space with all these books. When I do my next video, which is going to be packing, I'll show you guys what I'm actually taking with me, and the stuff that I find I'm going to need, and the stuff that I'm kind of been like, this is definitely coming with me. And I'm currently going through my entire house, trying to organize everything. So you've got different clips of like my dining room, which is currently just an absolute schmozzle of bits building up. I've got all my old books built up. I've got, you know, sets of dining roomware that I'm trying to sell. I've got old Christmas presents from people that couldn't come to Christmas that I still haven't seen, and they haven't been able to, you know, see me since Christmas sitting here. I've got all this stuff downstairs in our spare bedroom that's just piles of paintings or family photos or Lego sets and stuff that is really hard to sell, because obviously it might be like a built Lego set. You don't want to take the whole thing apart and sell it. So I'm hoping I can sell them at a garage sale or something, and hopefully someone will be like, heck yeah, I'll buy that. Because I don't want to throw anything out, but also we do need to kind of get some more money before we move. So that's why it's really important to try and sell as much stuff as we can. So I've been using Facebook Marketplace, eBay, and just trying to get rid of things that I know people would want. So my husband collected a whole bunch of like retro video games through his life, and so we've been trying to sell those off and make a bit of money through that, which has been really good. Selling old technology that we no longer use, but also being a school teacher, I have an awesome opportunity to be able to give a lot of stuff back to the school. So a lot of these books, if they don't sell, we'll give them to the school, whether they use them for art making or they actually put them in the library. There's so many different options with books these days. I just don't want them to go to landfill. So that's one huge thing, is I don't want any of the stuff that I've got to go to landfill. I would like it to go to someone else, or at least be used in some way. The last thing on my checklist currently, before I start packing and doing all of those things, is my cats. So the timeline for animal transport is very varied, I'm assuming, but for me, I contacted different companies months ago. So when I found out I was officially moving and I'd got the job, I started contacting companies. So Departure Pets, Jet Pets, there's a few other ones as well, and I made contact with a bunch of them, and I found one that worked for me, which was Jet Pets. So Jet Pets Australia have been amazing. I initially contacted them telling them this was our plan, kind of what do we do, because I was really concerned about my animals traveling overseas. If you are an animal person, you probably understand like you don't know what's going to happen to them, so it's a little bit nerve-wracking. So I talked to them through it and they were really great. So they're going to be picking them up from our house, taking them to Sydney before their international flight, and then they bring them to my new house in Japan. So it's all very, very like laid out how it should be. The cost of that is the other thing. It's really expensive, but it is the peace of mind that you get that your animals are going to be looked after and they're not just getting put into a plane and sent somewhere and you don't have to drive them to the airport and hear them yowling, because that's probably going to make you really sad. I know it would make me sad. So that's been really, really good to not have to think about that, even though it is expensive. So just keep that in mind. But I booked it so early that I've been able to kind of pay it off before going, which has been amazing. So if you are planning on doing something like moving overseas with an animal, please make sure you check everything before you even, start that process, because in Japan we're very lucky. Our cats just need to be vaccinated, and even that's a bit wishy-washy. Like I've seen people be like, oh no, they don't have to be, but all our cats are vaccinated anyway. They all have flea, tick and worming treatments. They've all got their own special little passports with all of their information in them, which has been really important. But I do know if you're taking a dog to Japan, you need to have the rabies vaccine, and in Australia that's not really a common thing. So that's all that other stuff you need to think about is, the vaccinations for your animals, but also for yourself. So I need to think about that for me too. If I was to think about where I'm at now, at the end of my checklist, if I get all these things done, it is nerves. I currently have nerves building up about a few different things. The first one has to be language. I think I'm very shy with my language learning. I have a bunch of different things I use. So one of them is the Genki textbooks. The Genki textbooks have been the best thing that I have found for myself. I've used a variety of different textbooks as well, but Genki is really great because they use an app, and it's like a native speakers app, and it's really easy to use. So I've been able to use that ongoing. So I want to get more into my Japanese studies. I did a beginner's course at university and it was very basic, but it also jumped really quickly, so I felt like I didn't retain much of it. The other thing is obviously using apps. So I have a variety of different language learning apps. Some work, some don't. It's kind of where you're up to with your own learning language journey. I struggle with learning language incredibly. I don't know, it's about my brain just doesn't really take on second languages as easy as I think it could. So hopefully being in an environment where I hear it every day and I'm having to speak it, especially to people at stores or, the coffee shop attendants, whoever I'm speaking to be able to use that little bit of language in my daily life, it should help me immensely. Because as I've said, I will be teaching in English at a bilingual school, so that's not going to be a concern of mine when I'm teaching. So that's lucky. The other nerve is related to that. It is the teaching level of it. I'm really nervous to be leaving an Australian school system that I know so well to jump into the Japanese IB system. So it's going to be different in a couple of different ways. But to be honest, the basis of the learning is very explicit teaching. It's about kind of a slow release of autonomy for students. So I think I'm going to be okay with a lot of that, but I'm just nervous to meet my students and to see the other staff and interact with them and hopefully make friends. But that's definitely a nervous thing for me, is like, these kids are they going to be shy? I know I'm going to be shy. And I love having a really strong trustworthy relationship with my students, so I really hope I can do that in Japan, where I have done that in Australia. The next kind of part of that is leaving everything behind here and going over there. So just the travel in general, definitely a bit nervous about it, but it's so exciting, and I just think, why not do it? Let's do it now. And I have to bite the bullet. I've signed the contracts, I've got the visa, so I've got all the good things. So yeah, I'm excited about the food, also nervous about the food. If you've had bariatric surgery, you probably know food restriction is really, really common. But I've been pretty good with eating anything and everything, except for certain raw vegetables I can't handle. I don't know whether it's the acidity or the texture, but no thank you. But going to Japan, I'm really excited to try lots of new foods. Going to Japan previously, I ate everything and anything. I love food. I'm a massive foodie, as I've said, so I'm excited for food, but I'm also nervous that I'm really hoping my stomach doesn't put restrictions on foods that I love. I know I'll be eating a lot of seafood. Where I'm moving is a very, very big seafood town, so I'm excited to eat and experience fresh seafood, which will be great. So this is the end of this video. I want to say a massive thank you to all of you who watched the last video and also liked, and I've got a couple of subscribers, so that's really, really lovely. But my video after this is going to be packing and kind of what I'm taking with me to Japan and that experience as well. But you'll also see some other little videos scattered out. So I've got a cruise coming up and just other things that are going to be happening to get ready to move. But thank you so much for watching, and 6 weeks and I will be in Japan. Bye!